So as you can see, Bob isn't here. But there was really big news on Monday, and we really had to discuss it. So I brought my two friends in to talk about what could be the biggest announcement in your life. Welcome to the Wolf Den. So this is Matt. You may remember him from an episode we did on the Ninja Turtles way back when, before that movie came out.
Yeah. Way back, yeah.
This is Jake. You don't know him.
Nope.
But he probably likes Spider-Man a lot more than you do. He likes the Clone Saga, but we'll get into that. So, gentlemen, as I'm sure you're aware, Marvel and Sony have reached a deal where basically they're sharing Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Sony still owns the movie rights to Spider-Man and has complete final say in all creative decisions, but Marvel is now allowed to use him in their movies. The rumor is he's going to make his debut in Captain America, Civil War, and they have great creative input in what goes into the new Spider-Man films.
From Sony.
From Sony, yeah. So there's a lot to go over here. So Jake, why don't we start with you? Right. Just give us your thoughts on it.
I definitely think this is a long time coming, and it definitely needed to happen. Like, Spider-Man is such a big part of the Marvel Universe that it was not fair to isolate him just to Sony films.
Not to do a bad pun, but he was really the web that connected everything. Not so much him, but New York as a prime. But he is the character to connect everybody to everything, because he's the lower level and the higher level guys.
Yeah. And he's a team member for everything.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, he really is. So definitely, Matt. What do you?
I want to do a counterpoint to make it more interesting, but I do agree. I mean, ever since everyone found out what the ins and outs of the Sony deal was with the movie rights, how they were able to make 3 Spider-Man movies and then redo the same thing from the same company. It was a loophole in the legal jargon.
Well, what it was they had to keep making, Spider-Man films, at least one Spider-Man film every 5 years in order to keep the rights.
Right. Exactly.
When Sam Raimi left, they need to find a way to keep them, so just like, start from the beginning. Let's do it again.
Right.
That's what that was.
Which I think, in and of its own self, I mean, the first original Spider-Man movie, Tobey Maguire, is a great take on the classic Spider-Man.
Right.
What do we know about him? High school kid, Mary Jane, Goblin. Yeah. Right? Then you went into that the new Andrew Garfield movies, or at least the first one, where it was talking about how we did this updated Peter Parker where he skateboards.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like a techno nerd kind of deal.
Much more.
Well, this is more him in high school.
More Ultimate Spider-Man was much more tech-based, a lot more sci-fi than I guess the original Stan Lee comics.
The 90s reboot.
Yeah.
Really.
Yes. And a lot more snarkier as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, I think this is going to be big news. I think everyone still needs to understand that, yes, one of the big posts I saw is Spider-Man has come home. Well, yes and no, because Sony still has creative rights to it, but at least now we can say, hey, Spidey, in a movie.
Yeah.
You can put a scene in there and you can have Spidey swinging in the background without causing World War III to happen.
Yeah. What the deal is Marvel is allowed to use Spider-Man in their movies. They just have to say, hey, Sony, we're going to use Spider-Man in this movie. And Sony just say, okay, fine. And they give a lot of creative input. And I think they have a say over who gets cast or who's directing it, which I want to touch upon. But Sony still finances the movie, still gets, all the box office gross from the movie.
Right.
And they have final say in what goes. Now, here's the thing. The last 2 Spider-Man movies, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, are very Sony-driven movies. Ooh, Mark Webb is... People might not know this. He's an excellent director. 500 Days of Summer is one of my favorite movies.
It's really well put together.
And his music videos are phenomenal. You should look those up. So, my thing is, we could be in a situation where... Because Marvel moved their entire movie lineup after Civil War to make room for a new Spider-Man film.
Pretty much everything moved except for the Avenger movies.
Yeah.
Those are the ones...
Exactly. So, but we could be in a situation where Marvel, says, hey, what should be the next Spider-Man movie? Kraven's Last Hunt, or The Death of Gene the Wolf. These popular stories that are really, focused on who Spider-Man is as a character. Right. And Sony could just be like, no, we want to do one more day. So...
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about that? Do you think?
Well, I think the reason why they accepted the deal is because they desperately needed help.
Yeah,
Like, the first Amazing Spider-Man did well.
right.
The second one, not as much.
Yeah,
It did not get the numbers they were hoping.
didn't
No.
get the numbers. It didn't get the critical reception.
Considering it was filmed in our own backyard.
Yeah. I mean, say what you will about Spider-Man 3, but I think the general consensus is that Amazing Spider-Man 2 just doesn't hold a candle to it,
Really?
which is sad. Yeah,
I kind of liked it.
again, you like the Clone Saga, but I mean, you go to the Rotten Tomatoes page, or like you go to like fan
Yeah.
forums, and like the consensus is like unanimous. Like this,
A lot of people
it suffered from the same problems as Spider-Man 3.
Too much.
Yeah, and they just didn't seem to learn.
Guys,
from it.
remember when we put out 3 villains in a Spider-Man movie and it bit us in the ass? Well, I figured it out.
They
We're going to
ruined every
secretly
character.
allude to 6 villains in
Yeah,
the next
let's
Spider-Man
double
movie.
it. So now, Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield, directed by Mark Webb, is officially done.
Canceled.
Officially done.
And 4 was canceled as well.
Right.
Obviously.
Because they decided, let's just have 2 more, whatever. But
The spin-offs.
they're still on the cards.
Yes.
Sinister Six, which is written and directed by Drew Goddard, is still being produced. It's still in production.
It's just delayed.
Yeah, it's delayed because they're probably reworking it.
Yeah.
Venom's
It's
still on the table.
Hollywood
That female
purgatory.
Spider-Man
Which
movie
might be Black Cat.
might be Black Cat, might be Spider-Woman. We
Yeah.
don't know. They haven't said anything. Those are still on the cards. So how does this now fit? Like, how does this new Sinister Six movie going to fit in the grand Marvel universe now?
Well, that all depends on the new Spider-Man.
True.
I mean, because they pretty much said that it's going to be a new Spider-Man.
Right. It's
So
going to be a
not,
new Spider-Man. He's still going to be in high school. Mm-hmm. So
It's not going to be
Andrew Garfield.
thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. So
I
then
do
in that
like the
case-
idea of that, though, as
Yeah.
making him younger. Because if they're going to put him in, make a completely new Spider-Man movie, new creative direction,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, that can really lead to a young kid having to pick, well, what is it about the world? Because then you have Cap's side of the world, and then you have Tony Stark's idea of the world. Well, high school's not to be cliche, but it is like a big choice. Like, well,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? Are you going to just go out and work? Or are you going to go to school for something? Well, are you going to side with Captain America? Are you going to do with what's right? Or are you going to go with Tony Stark and you're going to be the Iron Fist of Justice? Like,
Yeah.
are you what's going to happen there? Like, that's a good place for a kid to be because this is the next generation. Like, not Star Trek.
Yeah.
This is where our generation, we grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
We're on here.
Yeah.
But we're also moving forward for the next generation of kids. Like, the next generation, not to, like, completely break away, but, like, the Spider-Man shows. You have Spider-Man and Friends. You have the Ultimate Spider-Man
Right.
show. Like, it's too young
every
for us.
every generation
Oh, yeah.
gets
Still
their
too
own
much.
Spider-Man.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
generation
Yeah.
gets their own Batman. Every generation gets a version of the X-Men.
But
Right.
this Spider-Man's only been around for, 4 years?
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they,
Right, yeah.
they didn't have a lot of time to
No.
really develop it.
Exactly. Because the comic book company, they're now making the correct decisions.
Right.
They're saying, they're balancing what makes a good movie over what gets good story.
So we've said that Andrew Garfield now is almost 100% confirmed not going to be Spider-Man.
There was talk
Unfortunately.
of one article, it's been debunked already, I don't know if anyone caught this, saying they wanted to keep him on as some sort of assistant. But Marvel just kind of said, well, we don't want to hear anything he has to say, so
Yeah.
we don't even want him.
So
to
it's a complete-
I think that was part of kind of like a life preserver from Sony.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we'll try to keep you involved, and Marvel was just like, well, no.
Yeah. So, all right. But in that case, you don't have to like specifically name names, but who do you guys think should be Spider-Man? Sub-question to that, should they just say F it and do Miles Morales?
That's the thing. It would have to be, if they keep Peter Parker, it would have to be someone completely new that's kind of an unknown, I think,
Yeah.
at this point.
Someone who's not, isn't afraid to do the Netflix shows, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the movies. Because Spider-Man really is a character that should be in
He's gonna be
everything.
yeah.
So,
If it's going to be Miles Morales, which it would be kind of, I don't think they could really pull it off if they're going to do Civil War first, because
Yeah.
he's got to be a part of that.
Because the big thing with Marvel
There's
is
no introduction for Miles Morales then.
Marvel is very, like all their movies, even the Avengers, which everyone thinks is really based on the Ultimate comics, it has more in common with the original 60s Avengers than people think. Because like that story is really like their first story. So the Marvel movies have been very good at like traditional, the way their characters are traditionally done. So Miles Morales probably isn't in the pipeline for some time.
Until maybe the Spider-Man movie, which is supposed to be July 28th, 2017.
2017,
Yeah. Which is way further down the
Set
line.
your clocks and calendars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I do have a kind of a theory. If they keep Andrew Garfield around for one movie, have him in Sinister Six, have him die in that, and then do Miles Morales.
Yeah. But then why go through all the trouble of trying to get back Peter Parker? That's
Just to have Spider-Man in general.
That's true.
It's more of the character than Peter Parker at this point.
Yeah.
But everyone is Miles Morales, is one of the biggest things to come out of comics in like the last 2 or 3 years at this point when it changed over from Peter to him. But everyone associates Peter Parker with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Or they associate Spider-Man with Peter Parker. Like if you say Batman, if I was to say, oh, well, this person also played Batman, they go, well, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
They're going to look at you like, well, that's because like when Christian Bale, quote unquote, died in Dark Knight, no one else put the Batman suit on after him.
Yeah.
That's why they kind of allude to it at the end of the movie that you think Joseph Gordon-Levitt is going to become the next Batman.
Keep in mind, Bucky Barnes was Captain America when the first Captain America movie came out. So, but they still went with Steve Rogers because that's the one everybody knows.
Exactly.
Just because, Bucky Barnes Captain America is hugely popular.
But people don't know it.
Exactly.
Which is why I don't think they would do Miles Morales so soon.
Yeah.
Unless they give him his whole movie to actually give his whole background.
I feel like
no one knows it.
Now that they're ending the Ultimate Universe and like sort of bringing Miles into the mainstream
Which
Marvel
I think
universe,
is unnecessary to end it, because they could just do Spider-Verse.
True. Well, they're coming out with the Spider-Verse book now, too. But anyway, since they're bringing Miles Morales into the mainstream Marvel Universe, that's sort of like them trying to find a way to work Miles Morales into their movies. That's what they did with Guardians. They made the Guardians comic first to let people know, hey, this is how we're going to do Guardians, and then they put the movie out. So
I think it's just a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of spitfire, a lot of bullets going back and forth, questions, who, what, when, where.
Yeah.
How really is also the big thing that they're going to look at too is, well, how are we going to do this? Marvel, they know how to take their time, they know how to wait things out. This is, when did the first Captain America come out? 2011?
No, 2009, I want to say. 2009, 2010.
That they've bided their time. They told one of the biggest stories they had to tell.
Yeah.
Well, how did they do that? Oh, well, they incorporate S.H.I.E.L.D. into it. They incorporate the Avengers. Okay, it's kind of like, well, now what?
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, we got Spidey back. Great job, everyone. High fives all around. High fives. Good. Now what?
Yeah.
Now what do we do with him? Well, all right, push everything aside. Put him in the mix.
Let's fix Spider-Man and then just take it from there.
My one big hope is they don't announce who it is until he unmasks himself inside of Civil War, if that's going to happen.
Because I was going to...
I want them to keep it completely secret until he just... That would be the best way to do it.
Oh! My name is Peter Parker, and I've been Spider-Man since I was in
it
high
would
school.
be leaked, though.
True, because everything's leaked.
I would hate that.
But here's the thing, and we're running out of time, so I'll just stop on this. If they do that angle of Civil War, where he unmasks himself in front of everybody...
Which would be amazing.
Then what's the next Spider-Man movie? Because then everybody's going to know who he is. They had to deal with the fallout of that. That leads to one more day, and that's a whole another problem.
Well, isn't that why they have Doctor Strange?
That's true.
You forgot it all.
Yeah. That's true.
Until he broke that, too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Final thoughts, gentlemen. Anything you want to add?
I think it's exciting. I think it's just an exciting time for all of our movies and the TV shows and everything, not just on the Marvel side. I mean...
Oh, DC's killing TV.
That's
amazing.
Yeah, they're doing really cool things there. Constantine, I'm really excited for. They might be going to sci-fi.
Yeah.
But
really?
I mean, there's some talk about that. But I'm just, I'm just really excited to see where all this goes.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it is an exciting time. Visual effects are in the right way. The right people are in the right positions now. You don't just have writers and people who have never picked up a comic book making movies now. You have fans making the movies they wanted to see all their lives.
Yes,
and I think, and now we're talking about it. We can make this a real thing.
Yeah.
So overall, I'm really excited for it, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Jake, anything else to add? Or
Pretty much as I'm just really excited that this is happening. I can't wait to start seeing more Spidey on the screen.
yeah,
And hope they do a good job. And yeah. Well, it's Marvel, and they're in control. Helping now.
they have a lot of control
Yes.
still. Yeah, I mean, again, Sony has final say, but I
But
feel like at this
Sony's
point
could be
they'll
stupid
just
to
listen to
deny
them.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all
So
right.
it's in good hands.
Well, that's what we had to say on the matter. Let us know what you guys think down below or anywhere on social media. You can follow them on Twitter. He has his own YouTube channel, so go subscribe to that.
Yep.
So yeah, let us know what you think, whether or not the X-Men and Fantastic Four are next. Spoiler alert, they're not. Just give up on that.
It's not going to happen.
Like if you like, subscribe if you really like, share this video with your friends. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good week.
Tip your waitress.
I like the Clone Saga.
Basically what happened was DC announced the end of their line-wide initiative, The New 52. Now, continuity isn't getting reset, but about half the books are being canceled and replaced with new ongoing titles. And the little New 52 logo isn't going to appear on any covers anymore. But I know, Marty, you gotta come back with me! Where? Back to the future!
Doesn't he look absolutely terrified?
He does. Why is he pink and everyone else is
He's
regular?
pink and he looks like he's bulging out of his skin.
Everybody else is regular skin color, but he's like bright pink.